Viewer discretion is strongly advised. On this Devil's Night edition of Gritty Knows Best, we're going to be digging into some pretty morbid topics, like the true story of the female Hannibal Lecter who killed and cooked her boyfriend, as well as the Hello Kitty murder and the recent suitcase murder trial. We're also going to be discussing the recent installment in the Terrifier series, Terrifier 3. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for a Devil's Night that you may not soon forget.
Let's get it started. What you waiting for?
All right. Welcome to the first ever Devil's Night edition of Gritty Knows Best. As you can hear from the intro, we're going to be talking a lot of true crime tonight. We are joined by our buddy EJ. Now, he's especially here because he was following the Sarah Boone case very, very heavily. He did a lot of extensive research, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Before we get into the really morbid stuff, I got to drop this one on you because I saw this article the other day, and I thought it was absolutely wild. The New York Post came through with a hot one. So this author, Jessica Waite, she admitted to eating her husband's ashes in the memoir. Okay? What a title. What an absolute banger of a headline. I ate my husband's ashes. Now, you might be thinking like, why? How could that be? How could that come about? You know what I mean? Here is what happened. So her husband dies, right? And she starts going through his things to look up some things, like medical records or something right like that, right? And she puts she lives in Canada, and she puts in the certain place that she lives in Canada in his search history on his iPad. And do you know what she finds? She finds all types of escort services and porn. So now that her husband's dead, she finds out that this dude had been cheating on her religiously throughout their marriage. All types of prostitutes. He had a porn addiction, and she just spiraled into this investigation on what her husband was doing. And eventually, the way she put it, like she just lost her mind. Like she didn't know what to do. So in like a fit of rage or some kind of just, hysteria, she just ate her husband's ashes. And I mean, my first thought is, okay, so if I'm in that kind of mode, I'm in destructive mode, right? I'm throwing the ashes and somewhere, I'm shitting on them, I'm peeing on them. The last thing I'm doing is eating them.
All right, well, think about it like this, right? Because you just said like you would shit on the ashes, right? But what's even better than that is taking it to the next step and shitting out the ashes. You know what I mean? That's like the next best spiteful thing you can do.
Cheat on me, you'll never be inside me again. I'll tell you that right now. Absolutely insane, bro. Like, why for her to admit it? Well, if I did that though, and I was an author, of course I'm writing about it. If I'm a podcaster, of course I would have to write. That's very sensational. What do you think of this?
When you said that, I was thinking it was more of like, oh my god, like I just want to be with him forever. Like I didn't think it would be out of spite. You know what I mean? I thought it would be like I miss him so much that what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing that because you're angry just doesn't add up.
And there's like a My Strange Addiction on that, where the girl's eating the husband's or somebody's ashes because she loves them. But yeah, that's what I would have thought too. I was expecting to click on and go, oh, this girl's crazy. She's eating the husband's ashes because she loves them. This is a whole nother take on that. Absolutely insane. Y'all wilding out eating ashes, bro.
That's nasty.
Totally nasty. Totally nasty. Wow. So now we're going to start descending. Everybody get your seatbelts on. We're going to start going into the catacombs of the world. We're going to start getting dark. Let's get to the stories. The first one I'm going to tell you about is a true crime story that I learned of a couple years ago. And this is one of them that have just never left me, just due to the details, and it's absolutely insane. Here we go. We are about to learn about the first Australian woman who was sentenced to life in prison without parole. We are about to learn about the Australian female Hannibal Lecter, Catherine Knight. On February 29, 2000, Catherine Mary Knight murdered, butchered, and cooked her then boyfriend, John Price. Her actions would leave behind a scene so grotesque that it would rock the country of Australia like it had never been before, and haunt all of those who were a witness.
Whatever had done this, it was obviously a monster. Nothing could prepare you.
I didn't eat meat for about 3 months.
She's been branded a danger to the community, capable of murdering anyone who crosses her.
This is the story of how Catherine became known as the female Hannibal Lecter. Yeah, I see you lighting that cigarette. You're getting ready to hear all the gory details.
I'm stressed already.
You're stressed out? Well, let me tell you who is definitely stressed out. John Price, okay, her boyfriend at the time. He was definitely stressed out. So, before we get into the actual murder that happened, let's talk about the 5-year relationship between Catherine Knight and John Price. Okay, so they were together from 1995 until the time of the murder, and their relationship was nothing short of toxic and tumultuous, to say the least. And how do we know this, you ask? Well, that's because pretty much everybody in Aberdeen, Australia knew about that, because John would constantly confide in his friends and even his employer about the abuse and the toxicity going on in his relationship, okay? And one of the documentaries I watched, they said that John literally had to get a new friend group because all his friends were like, yo, bro, like, we're done with this. We've went through a few rounds of this with you, and you keep taking her back after all these shenanigans. So my man had to get a whole new crew, okay? What kind of shenanigans were going on, do you ask? Well, let's hear the first one that I thought was absolutely crazy, that you would do this to somebody that you not only is your boyfriend, but somebody you live with, okay? So one day, Catherine gets a bug up her ass about something that went on. He came home late. He was looking at some girl, who even knows, right? She decides that she's going to take her video camera. She loved her video camera. And she filmed this first aid kit in her home. Now, she takes this footage of this first aid kit to John Price's job. And she goes, this is your first aid kit that he stole from the mine. And they fire him. Absolutely unbelievable. She gets this, the pettiest shit I ever heard. What did he do to deserve that? Okay? But he still ends up staying with Catherine after that. They probably did a little breakup, oh, I'm done with you. And then, they come back together and they make out and blah, blah, blah. It's a whole sick.
Well, I mean, he also just lost his job too. So, I mean, like, where is he where he ain't got no income right now.
Well, that was his house. That was his house, and he could kick her out, which he tried to. But I don't know what the fuck is going on in Australia. They on some next level shit, because she was just his girl. She was not his wife. She had no rights to the house. And they were like, hey, mate, you want to kick her out? You're going to need a court order for that, mate. And he's like, what? This is my crib, bitch. Are you crazy?
No, that's real. That's real. I mean, I watch a lot of the squatters videos and stuff, and that's real.
That's bullshit.
Someone will pay rent for a month, and then they'll just stop paying rent.
That ain't right. Well, obviously, as you know, or you can imagine, it escalates. The things escalate, and eventually, Catherine ends up holding a knife to John. He flees his own home. When he comes back, reportedly, the police are there. Wonderful. Everybody, okay, get her out, boys. Cuff her up. They're not there for him. They're there for her, on her behalf, because she cited abuse on Johnny Boy. So now at this point, from what I understand, there's court orders on this one, restraining orders on that one, this one. Yay, I'm throwing a restraining order on you. There's 2 on John, but they're still living in the same house, and they're still together, okay? But after a while, February 29th, 2000 rolls around, and John has had enough, okay? And he's like, I'm going back to the court, and I'm telling him, like, I need to get this crazy bitch out of my crib. So he goes to the courthouse, and he tells him, hey, mate, she's fucking crazy, man. She was standing over my body last night when I was sleeping. So he tells him that he woke up the night prior on the 28th to Catherine standing over him like a fucking weirdo. And he's like, oh, what the fuck? So, you know, he jumped up like a fucking kangaroo and tried to get out of there. She apparently didn't do anything to him. So this is when things get dark, and this is where things really go down. Again, it's the 29th. He comes back from court, and he brings a beer to his mate's house. And he tells him, hey, mate, things are fucked up, okay? And this is what he tells him, almost verbatim. He says, if my car is in the driveway tomorrow, she killed me. So call the cops. Not only is that, but he had been confiding in his Wolf at work. And he said, Wolf, I think she's going to kill me. Okay? I think she's going to kill me. Well, the night of the 29th, Catherine comes back. She slips on a very nice nightgown or negligee, whatever you call it. I don't know what negligee. I think it's a nightgown.
Lingerie.
Lingerie. You know. She slips on his nightgown, and they have sex. They bang, and, you know, John's defenses are down. He got milk just now, so his defenses are way down. He's chilling out. He's like, everything's good, you know. She probably gave some good head, all that. She probably gave great head. And John goes to sleep. You know what I mean? Well, John wakes up again with Catherine standing over his body. But this time, she was not empty-handed. She had a knife in her hand, and she proceeded to stab the ever-loving shit out of John. He gets out of the bed. I mean, she's just going wham, wham, wham. You could see in the videos, I showed some of the actual crime scene footage in the intro, and we'll probably put some now. Blood all over the walls, all over the place, because they're in this struggle. And apparently he almost made it to the door, but the police officer said that it wouldn't even matter if he would have made it out. He was that cooked. Done. She ended up stabbing him 37 times.
Wow.
All right? That's a lot. That's a lot of stabbing going on. So now, let's fast forward to March 1st. His car is in the driveway. His boss is worried. Everybody's worried about Johnny. So
his neighbor already has the memo.
Yeah, they got the memo is in. That's right, EJ. And they call the police. So now this is from the police's perspective. They go there. They're doing a wellness check. Knock on the door. Nobody answers. But they see this weird curtain, as they say, hanging in the house. So they go around the back. They bust in through the back. And they have to make it past this curtain hanging up. So one of the officers with his left arm brushes past it, and all of a sudden, just blood all over his arm. He's like, what the fuck is this?
Uh-oh.
That's when they find out. That's not a curtain, Poppy. That is the skin of John Price. And I'm talking expertly clean cut in one expert slice, hanging like a curtain.
Oh my God.
And they see John's torso laying on the ground, but there's no head. So they follow the blood trail into the kitchen. They follow the blood, and they follow it to the stove. They see the pot on the stove, and they reluctantly open the lid, and inside that pot is the head of John Price. Now, next to the head in the pot are two dinner plates with food on them. There's meat and vegetables. And I'll give you one guess as to what kind of meat was on that plate. Want to take a guess?
It's people.
It's the meat of John Price. that she meticulously sliced off of his body. So the most sinister part of this, I believe, is
Wait,
that,
hold on. Before you, did she also feed the dog?
she did.
Some of him too.
The dog, yeah, a steak was in the backyard.
If I'm remembering correctly.
Right, a steak was in the backyard. But that's not the most sinister part. I mean, that's very fucked up, though. All this is fucked up.
That is.
Underneath the plates were 2 notes, and those notes were written to John Price's children.
Nah.
She was going to feed his children, who were not in the house at the time, their dad's meat, their dad's body, with vegetables. And it was very interesting that they say when you walked into the house, it didn't smell like a crime scene. It smelled good. It smelled
because she just
sweet.
cooked, bro.
Yeah,
Like
she cooked
there was
man.
no time for any decay to happen. Like,
Well, his torso was laying. There was a lot of meat and stuff hanging on already, still on him in the. I think it was in the living room. His actual torso was left there, and his skin was still hanging there. So I mean, it could have smelled, but I guess her expert cooking did the job. And I mean, this scene scarred all these people. They say that one of the forensics guys quit. As you heard in the intro, one of the guys said he didn't eat meat for 3 months. I mean, this is stomach churning shit right here. This is horrific. So obviously, they're surveying the crime scene and they go, "Who could have done this? Where is the killer? Where is the killer?" You're probably wondering where the killer is right now. Hey, she probably fled. If she's smart, she went to the bank with his card, grabbed some money out. It's $2,000. You can't track people like that back in the day. She's fucking out of there, right? She's out of Australia with his money. Well, that's half true. She did leave the scene, and she did get some money out of John's account, $1,000 to be exact. But then she came back, took a cocktail of pills, and fell asleep like a fucking bear in hibernation. So much so that when they busted in, they busted, "Hey, get on the fucking ground, what are you doing?" She didn't even know what was going on. She was like, ZZZ. She was done, bro. Done. They could not wake her up for nothing. So they called the ambulance. They surmised that this was a suicide attempt, which I could see. You know what I mean? It didn't sound like she was taking these pills for fun. So they bring her to the hospital. She ends up recouping and recovering over time, and they sit her down, and they don't get much out of her. She does admit to killing John Price. And I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but at this point in their lives, John was about 45 and Catherine was about 49, okay? So Catherine admits to killing John, but as we saw in the Sarah Boone case, spoiler alert, she starts to claim what, Eddie? Abuse. I was abused, and now I have to kill him, and I have to cook his body and all this shit, right? So the police officers go, "Oh, really? You want to claim abuse, huh? Wow. It just so happens, Beach, that when you were sleeping for a month, we did a little digging on you. And we went to your ex-man's, 3 of them to be exact. And let's go through the findings. Okay? So if anybody here thinking Catherine was a saint, you're wrong. Okay? One of Catherine's ex-lovers of the 3 claimed that she caved his head in with a frying pan. He got off easy compared to John. Tell you that. I'll take a concussion over getting cooked. But he fled eventually. One of the guys she ended up cheating on with another guy and left. But most of these other guys, they skipped town. They had to leave, right? One of them was stabbed in the stomach with scissors. Wonderful.
Really?
Yeah. If you can believe it, it gets worse, actually. So she had a husband, they had a baby, and sometime the man finds out that he's dealing with this fucking wacko, and he's like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta skip town, whatever. So she gets wind of that. She takes their baby places their baby on the train tracks and waits for the train to come kill it.
No.
Thank the Lord, thank you, Jesus, and all the angels above that plan did not come to fruition. They stopped her, they apprehended her, they got the baby to safety, and they put this bitch in the loony bin like she belonged, but then they let her out. They let her out after that. What the hell? And so another schman came forward and said, yeah, she was my girl. I had a puppy that she slit its throat when it was 8 months old. She slit this guy's puppy's throat, ear to ear.
A puppy?
A puppy. 8 months. Guy didn't even know what the fuck was going on yet. Oh my God.
Yeah, right. He didn't even.
Horrible.
Damn.
Yeah, very, very bad. And they did a little digging into Catherine's background, and the reason she was so nice with slicing, dicing, carving, and butchering is because she used to work in a slaughterhouse. They went to this woman's house. They found out that she was into all kind of freaky movies, and she had like animals laying around. I think there was stuff. She was a fucking freak, basically, okay? She was a total freak. So they wheel her ass in the court, and they're like, yo, bro, you're done, bro. Like, you say you don't remember this, but we know you did it. We got all this evidence, like you cooked. And this is a sensational trial in Aberdeen, Australia. They've never seen anything like that ever, okay? And she becomes the first woman in Australia in history to be sentenced to life without parole, and she's rotting in prison right now. I think she's about 65 years old. Fuck you, Catherine Knight. And rest in peace to John Price, because that's just terrible. 45 years old, getting butchered by your girl. And it's like, you got to blame the system in some of this, because how could she not get kicked out of the crib? He owns the crib. He wants her out. Get her out of there. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
In 2000 they were doing this shit?
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. Any notes or thoughts on this case, EJ?
She would have did better if she would have just tried to go for like insanity.
I think
the issue with that is if you do go for insanity and you win, as soon as like you're not insane, then you actually gotta go to jail.
I know that there was a lot of worry about that because she ended up pleading guilty to the crime, and they were worried that she was going to plead insanity, so they got her checked out. They figured out that she was totally fine, in that regard. She's not schizophrenic or anything. She was mentally sound in a way.
He knows what you did was fucked up.
You know what you did. You know what you did, woman. Okay, so as I said, that is a case that has stuck with me for a long time. I remember hearing that for the first time, and I was just like, wow, this is insane. Like, this is crazy. But as disturbing as it was, it didn't really stick with me because of how, disturbing it was. It was just crazy, okay? But this next case that I'm going to bring up right now did stick with me for how utterly grotesque, disturbing, and horrific it is. Eddie, do you know anything about the Hello Kitty murder?
I don't think I do.
Well, you about to find out, okay? We all about to find out. As I said, this case just really... This is one of the cases where when I first looked into it, I stopped it. And I had to come back to it like another day. Because I was just like, this is not the day for my brain to hear this, okay? So, our story begins on March 17th, 1999. Fan Man Lee, 23-year-old woman in Hong Kong, is being kidnapped. Why is she being kidnapped? Well, let's rewind a little bit like we did in the first story. So, unfortunately, Fan Man Lee did not have the best go-around up until her 23rd year in life. She was on the streets very early, at about 15, got kicked out, shelter system, all kind of wicked stuff. Gets into prostitution, unfortunately, gets into drugs, unfortunately. Ends up working at a brothel. So now she's at 23 years old, working at this brothel, and she starts hanging out with this dude from the Triads, the street gang in Hong Kong. Not a good person to be hanging with. Not a good person.
Triads,
yeah,
dude.
not good. So time goes by. They probably do drugs together. They hang out. She's working at this brothel, blah, blah, blah. One day, she ends up stealing money from his wallet. About $500 US, so like 4,000 Hong Kong dollars, whatever the fuck they're called. Right? So, obviously, this guy was not happy about that at all. So he does what any reasonable person would do. He approaches her and asks for his money back. Not. He gets her kidnapped by two of his buddies. And they take her to this apartment that is adorned with all kind of cute Hello Kitty memorabilia. Okay? And they have a plan for poor Fan, and that is that they're going to sell her until she can pay off her debt with her body. Okay? And eventually they say they just kept raising the debt. So, you owe us 4,000 Hong Kong, now you owe us 10, now you owe us 20, until basically it was unpayable. So while they're selling her, they have her for about, this whole ordeal goes for about a month, okay? And I'm about to bring you through the laundry list of torture that she went through for this month, okay? She was beaten brutally in many ways with many objects, metal pipes, and they even hung her from the ceiling like a punching bag, okay? And they would take their frustration out on this poor young woman all day, every day, whenever they wanted, just totally brutalize her. They burned her a few different ways with candle wax, and they even melted plastic onto her, okay? Burned her in all kind of sick, sadistic shit. While they were beating her, burning her, and raping her, because obviously they were raping her as well, this is like the really hard part to listen to, one of them, is that they would force her to smile the whole time. And if she didn't smile and act like she liked it, things would get worse. And things did get worse.
They're like, we know that we're burning you right now, but you got to keep the smile.
It's terrible. So they did get worse. As they're beating her, brutalizing her, they're also rubbing spices into the wounds. Not good. Not fun at all. And they're defecating on her and urinating on her. And they're also making her consume the defecation and urination. No. Yeah, not good. And obviously, they're not feeding her adequate nutrition. I think we all can imagine that. They're not, she's not getting top flight meals.
I don't think shit is very nutritious.
No. So this whole ordeal goes for about a month. Now, if you didn't think it could get any more twisted, there's 3 men, 3 pieces of shit, 3 fucking scumbags doing this to this poor woman, right? But the leader, her friend, her acquaintance that this whole thing started from, has a girlfriend. And it's more of, they say girlfriend in a lot of these things, but somebody brought up a good point that she's not a girlfriend. She's a victim because she was 14 years old.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he had a 14-year-old girl not only witnessing this, but engaging in this. And doing all of these things, inflicting all of these tortures onto poor Fan, okay? 14-year-old girl, beating her, doing all this crazy shit, right? They keep her in a bathroom. Eventually, sadly, she wastes away and dies in about a month, okay? So now we're in April, like April 14th.
Well, at least the torture's over.
Yeah. So... but the ordeal's not over. Not quite yet. So they decide, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with her body? They leave her there for a little while. And then they wake up with the bright... and all these guys are on meth and all kind of shit, by the way. They're all fried, by the way. Okay, I forgot to mention. They're all fucked up. Meth and all kind of stuff. So they wake up one day and they go, we're going to start chopping her up. So they start to dismember poor Fan. Legs, arms, chop, chop, chop. They take her head and they start to boil it along with the other body parts so there's no smell and whatever. So a little sick fact about this case is that while they were boiling her head and the guy is showing his 14-year-old fucking victim her head and he's telling her, look at it, it looks like a horror movie, right? Like, just don't think about it too much. It's just like a movie, he's telling her. Like, what a piece of shit, right? So they get hungry, obviously. A lot of work cutting up the body. It may not be as bad as you're thinking, but it's still very out of control. They make ramen on the adjacent burner from where the head is. And they say, fuck using a different spoon. We're just going to stir our ramen with the same spoon as this poor young woman's head. It's insane.
Not the same spoon. You couldn't even be bothered to get a new spoon.
They're animals.
At least clean that one off.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on, dog. Come on.
Animals. So then this is where the case gets its name. They got the guts in the fridge. They got a couple body parts laying around in the fridge. They got to do something with the head. So, as I said, the apartment is adorned with Hello Kitty. They decide to take the head and stuff it in a mermaid Hello Kitty plushie. Just totally horrific. Time goes by about a month, and this 14-year-old girl starts to get freaked out because she said that the ghost is haunting her. Allegedly, this is what I've heard, that the ghost of Fan Manley is haunting, which she should, by the way. She just
allegedly.
she should be haunting her ass, at least. She ends up going to the police station and telling them that this ghost is haunting her. And they're like, oh, okay, like whatever. And then she goes, I killed her though. Like, I killed this lady. And they go like, what? Like, huh? And I guess she starts to drop details. So SWAT team busts in the building and they find the plushie. They find some guts. They find all this stuff. People get locked up. And this case rocks Hong Kong. They're like, what the fuck? This trial is out of control. The judge says, never in Hong Kong in recent years has a court heard of such cruelty, depravity, callousness, brutality, violence, and viciousness. Vehemently agree with that, with every word and description, right? So, long story short, they bring the fridge in with the guts in. I mean, the smell in the courtroom is insane. They actually have her skull that they show and they have for evidence. Now, this is the sad part about this, is that they can't find these guys guilty of murder because there's really no evidence, only testimony of a murder from the 14-year-old, because the 14-year-old is testifying against them for immunity. So she'll walk free once this ordeal is over. So the trial goes on, and they can't find any evidence that they actually killed her. But they obviously have evidence that she died with them, okay? So they're basically saying, like, we can't prove that you killed her, and we can't also prove that she died of a drug overdose, so we're just going to say that this is manslaughter, okay? They get charged with manslaughter, and they get sentenced to life in prison with parole, though. Okay? Now, this is in 99. 18 years later, they're all rotting away in Hong Kong jail. But one of these pieces of shit ends up getting out somehow. His lawyer pulls some strings, got him out on some kind of...
Was that the big boss guy?
No, it wasn't him. It was another guy got let out, right? But, as you can imagine, he ended up right back in jail for molesting a 10-year-old.
Oh,
who would have thought?
My God,
who would have thought? Wow. Can you imagine that guy, the one that burned, beat, raped, stabbed, did all this shit to this poor other woman, that he would do that? Who would have thought, right? Here's another interesting fact about this case. The building that all this went down in was eventually torn down, and it is now a hotel, apparently. In the spot that all this went down is now a kitchen. Imagine that. I'm not eating up in there. That energy is too crazy. I'm gonna be picturing this poor woman's head in the pot. I would not be eating up in there.
Come on, bro. You wouldn't try some of the burgers or something?
Nah, bro. I'm not walking up in there, bro. You missed me with that shit. R.I.P. Fan Man. R.I.P. Fan Man Lee. She left behind a husband and a son. Her skull was eventually given to her family, and there was a necklace that was in the fridge that was eventually given to her son. Moment of silence for Fan Man Lee. Absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. I'm telling you right now, not only did I stop the first video I watched about this, Clay stopped it, and then I was watching another YouTuber talk about this, and this is somebody that's very popular. He talks about a lot of war and crime and shit, and he's reading the list, and he goes, enough. Like, he's like, I can't even read this anymore. It's absolutely horrendous, but, you know, wow. As we said, we are going to talk about the very recent, hot off the press, Sarah Boone suitcase murder trial. EJ has been watching, he watched literally the whole court case, all proceedings, every day, all 6 days. But before you get into your whole thoughts about the case and your notes and everything, let me just share what I thought about it. There's some notes that I brought up. One thing I thought was extremely fascinating is that, you probably know this, a while ago, she was offered a plea deal. And if you, okay, well, let's bring it back. So, for those that don't know, Sarah Boone left her boyfriend in a suitcase to die, which he then did die, okay? Not only did she do that, she filmed it. And he's not going to die in this video, so don't worry, but I will play some of the disturbing footage of him begging, basically, to be let out of the suitcase.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah. I can't breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Okay, so now that we are all on the same page as to what happened, okay? I saw that video like a year ago, and I thought it was an old video. Like, I thought, like, oh, it's an open and shut case, like, it's done already, like that. I just never looked into it. So I was very fascinated to realize that this was still going on.
I mean, you are right. It is an old video, but...
Yeah. I thought, like, this was, like, a case from, like, 15 years ago, okay? So, Sarah Boone ends up turning down a plea deal not too long ago, okay? Now, she's trying
Which was insane, by the way. Insane.
It gets more insane what I'm about to say. So this was a 15-year plea deal with good time. She had already spent 4 years in jail for her crime. So those years would have been counted for. So from what I understand from some YouTubers I watched, that 15-year sentence could have been filed all the way down to 5 years. And she did not take that.
Now you know you're retarded.
Yeah, let's hear it again.
Oh,
now you
man,
know you're retarded.
Imagine,
rough,
right?
bro.
Imagine. Everybody sit down, close your eyes, right? You fucking kill somebody. You film it, it goes out on the WWW, right? The guy's pleading for his life, and they go, hey, you can kind of like get away with this. You want to do that? And you go, Nah.
Now you know you're retarded.
Okay. Note number 2 from the big dog. This bitch is on not her 3rd, not even her 5th, but she is on her 9th lawyer. What? You know that it ain't the lawyer's problem. You know what I mean? Like I always say, if everybody don't like you, bro, it's not everybody, it's you. You know what I mean? Like, something's up with this broad. And my final note is these sick fucking scumbags really asked for a mistrial in court because when they played the suitcase video in court, one of the family members had an emotional reaction. Let's listen to that bullshit right now.
Sarah Boone's entitled to a fair trial. I think that right's been compromised here today. I don't know who's scheduled to put the 2 detectives on the front row with the Torres family, who the family of the victim. But they had to have known to tell them that the suitcase video, which has been around for 4.5 years, was going to be played during opening statement. And the state attorney's office or the sheriff's department had to advise them, or the victim's advocate had to advise them, that if they couldn't take it in front of a jury that's trying to decide the case, they needed to get out of the courtroom. Now, what happened here today should not ever happen. There should be safeguards in place. There's no room for this after 2 weeks of a murder trial for something like that to happen. One of the Torres members of the family audibly, during the 2-minute suitcase video, expressed some kind of emotional reaction. I look back, he or she were bent over in agony, physical pain. The physical pain followed the audible announcement. You can't unring that bell. That's their responsibility to ensure that kind of thing doesn't happen, especially when they know they're going to show a video and the family of the victim is on the front row. I've never heard of such. I asked for a mistrial.
Response.
I've never heard of such a request. The victim's family has a right to be here. They were advised as to what will be used during closing arguments. I cannot make a decision for the victim's family and the homicide survivors as to whether or not they believe they can handle it. She clearly, or he, I don't know, couldn't, and I believe the appropriate thing was done. They left the courtroom. But again, to say this is intentional sabotage and all the accusations that continuously get made are unsubstantiated. And it does not warrant a mistrial. People get warned, and sometimes they misjudge their own emotions. I don't understand what test we are expected to run on homicide survivors. So the motion should be denied.
Motion's denied.
Motion denied.
I just wanted to give you a little more context. That guy, the guy for the defense, he would try to, he would be doing shit like that the whole time, and it would always, like, his objections would always get denied, and he'd always try to bring up nonsense. So they're like, well, listen, like, move on, bro. Like, this is so he's a fool. He's been clowning around this whole time, this whole trial.
Now you know you're retarded.
My man said, motion denied. Get out of here. Like, what kind of freaking case was that? Like, you looking like a damn fool out here.
Listen, that was like the Hail Mary right there. Yeah, that was the Hail Mary.
Well, like, how is that going to disturb any aspect of the case, bro? So,
well, no, like that's if it does get dismissed, then she got more time.
No, I'm saying in his argument, how does the emotional reaction affect the case in any negative way?
Well, I guess because it's got to be impartial, and the jury seeing the family members get upset, well, you have them not impartial anymore. I guess is what his thoughts were, but he's really just reaching.
Reaching. So she was found guilty of second-degree murder. Yay! And now she will be sentenced in December. EJ, you watched literally like every second of this court proceeding. Tell us about it.
I watched most of it. I tried to watch all like the little like even when like they would tell like the jury to step out, or like the defense tries to argue something or whatever. I watched a lot of it. Sorry, what was your question? My bad.
What did you think about tell us what your thoughts are after watching everything.
I think the defense was the worst defense team I have ever seen in my life.
It's number 9. Number 1 was probably good. Can I say something real quick? What probably happened is, right? This is what probably happened. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 were probably lawyers who were being realistic with her. And they were like, listen, we can't get you off. This is what we can do for you. We can do this much. You're not getting off.
I would assume that like all the other lawyers would probably like take the plea deal.
Yeah. And I think
and then the last lawyer was like, you know what, you don't want to do it? Maybe I can work with that.
I think somebody fed her a
But I'm just assuming. We're just assuming that.
Somebody blew some fairy dust up her ass, and it had to be number 9. And they said, no, we can do this. Yeah, we can get you out. And he just did it, as you said, so he could be the next Johnny Cochran.
Yeah. He was definitely doing it for a lot of clout too. But it was just a bad defense. All right, so like they were like expert witnesses they were calling, like doctors and stuff. None of them got used. Like they were like deemed not good enough.
Unfit.
Like they were like, all your expert witnesses, scrap them, get rid of them.
What kind of witnesses were these doctors and
like therapists and counselors, something like that. So shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. Which, first of all, is crazy, apparently, because like I was watching a lawyer watch the stream live, and he was like breaking shit down, and pretty much what he was saying is like, to get all your expert witnesses like that, just thrown away is crazy. Like that doesn't happen too often.
Right.
Which is kind of funny. Like that should tell you something already.
Unprecedented.
Yeah. And also, a lot of them weren't really helping the defense. They were kind of, the things they were saying were like, all right, like, yeah, that she may have done it, but this is why, or like this is like what we believe to be the reason why. And it's like, well, that don't really hold up. That's not going to help your defense at all.
She also used the defense that she had battered wife syndrome and she was abused, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. One of the people that was called was supposedly an expert on that.
And that didn't go well, I'm sure.
Well, first of all, you can't really claim self-defense when your alleged attacker is locked up in a box.
Right. She claimed self-defense.
So, yeah, she was like, well, I was just, defending myself. But how? Why? If he's locked in the box already.
And then it came in the question that she might have also brutalized him while he was in the case, right? In the suitcase.
Well, they said that he, she said she may have hit the case with the bat with him in it, right? But it's not a regular suitcase like you're thinking, where it's like cloth or some kind of fabric. It's kind of like more like a wooden box. Mm-hmm. So I think the theory that everybody had going into this was he did not get all them bruises and lumps while he was in the box. He must have got lumped up before he got put in the box, or before he got in the box.
Right, because you're saying the box would have encased him and protected him from any blows that would have hit the actual case.
Yeah, like he wouldn't have got like bruised up the way he was. Like, right. I think the assumptions is that either she hit him with the bat and put him in the box and threw the box down the steps, or I would assume that she hit him with the bat and he fell down the steps and then put him in and then told him to get in the box.
Because that was also talked about.
That was another thing, was that they were calling the neighbors, the people that lived in the same building as her, and they were like, yeah, we heard some crazy ass rumbling, like something big got thrown or something fell down the steps around that same time that he was locked up in the case. And first of all, how dumb are you that you're gonna post videos of your man's in the case and he's like, I can't breathe, and you're like, oh well, too bad.
That's how I felt. She sounded like she's totally like drunk and Xanax.
Well, yeah, I mean they probably were drunk because that was another thing she was trying to do is like, oh, I don't really remember, I was super drunk. And,
Oh, so she sounds like Catherine Knight. I don't remember, and I was abused.
Well, no. Well, first of all, her story changed a million times, right? Like even going back to when they first pulled her into the police station, she was like, "Well, I was drunk." Well, no, I'm sober. I was sober.
Wow.
Well, I did have a few drinks.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like it kept changing. It was her story was always changing.
Stop.
Every time they gave her a little more like of the information they had, she would try to adjust her story.
Like a true...
She had her dogs out at the police station. She had her dogs out in the courtroom.
Explain what the dogs out means for those that are uninitiated.
Oh, she had her feet out, bro. Put your feet away.
She had Catherine. Sarah Boone had her feet out at every turn of this case, bro. She had them out in the courtroom. She had them out in the interrogation, right? What was up with that? Have a little bit of decorum in the courtroom. That's the first thing I heard because I tuned in for like a couple minutes, and like as soon as I tuned in, the lady was like, "We are back in court, and Sarah Boone now has her feet out in the courtroom." And I was like, "What?" And you said the guy you watching that the chat went crazy, right?
Yeah, like the chat I was in is a little degenerate, so like they were going nuts, and then like the lawyer guy was like whispered, he's like, I know, I see chat, I see she got her feet out, I see. He was trying to play like chill, we're trying to watch this.
She
like
let
calm
the dogs
down,
out.
you know?
The dogs off the leash. Well, I'll tell you what, she might be able to start a successful OF in prison. She might be able to do like some feet stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, because they got iPhones in there like all the time. So put them feet out, girl, make some money. It's the most you could do.
And she was, like she really was trying to claim that she was like abused and this and that.
Oh,
I mean, listen, you may have caught some whoopings, right? But I don't know how you get away with self-defense when he's locked up, man. That's crazy.
Whether you abuse or not, this is not a good look. Like
that at that point, that's when you call the cops to the house when you got him in the box.
Or or you beat his ass and you leave or something, but you don't like do this. This is crazy. I mean, because you don't do this for your own sake. Let's just say, you know what I mean. You're putting yourself in jeopardy by doing this and filming it, like.
And I thought it was funny that the defense was like, oh, like no, like they were super nice to each other, like ask anybody, and then like they ask people, they asked like the people in the other people in the building, and they're like, no, they were fucking lunatics. They were always drunk. They were always fighting.
They were probably smacking each other around.
So every time the defense would say something, like like within like 10 minutes, it would be proven like that's like not the case at all.
Bullshit. Wow. So this was a 6-day.
Bro, he even tried to. Bro, at the end, he tried like another Hail Mary. He tried like the misogyny route. Like, as a man, he should have known better not to ever hit a woman.
Okay.
Bro, the lawyer guy I was watching lost it. He said, bro, it's 2024. The women could get the equal rights and left. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. So who do you watch break down the case?
Legal Mindset.
Legal Mindset.
I fucks with him, bro. He breaks down a lot of court stuff.
Okay, so if you want, that's Eddie's guy. So if you want to watch some court proceedings, you want to watch some trials, watch Legal Mindset.
Legal Mindset.
There you go. And as I said, she was convicted of 2nd-degree murder, and we will find out her fate in December. You have any other notes or thoughts or?
Oh, and then they went for another Hail Mary, but nobody actually really cares because like right at the end, the guy's like, "Oh, do you want there to be an internal investigation on these proceedings?" And obviously they said yes, just to slow things down and you know what I mean. But I don't think any of that's gonna matter. She's cooked, bro. She's cooked. I mean, like the dude was like your height too, bro. Like that could have been you. That's all I gotta say. You got to be careful because that could have been you.
Hopefully I never end up in a suitcase. I definitely wouldn't go in there willingly. You definitely have to beat me with a bat unconscious.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's gonna be the greatest mystery of our lifetime. Is how did he end up in the suitcase? Like, was he
bro,
forced
and
in
that's
there?
another thing. Like the way she was talking, like she was his mother. Like, oh, like we would drink, and then I would have to figure out activities to do, like arts and crafts.
What is it, camp? Summer
and
camp?
then we play hide and seek. I'm like, bro, like,
Yeah,
what
that
are you
was
guys
the other
doing?
thing, is that they were playing hide and seek, right? That was the big defense.
That was what she claimed, and people in the chat were flaming her. They were like, "Where's the hide and seek expert?
She claimed they were playing.
Where's the suitcase expert? Where's the zipper expert? Like, we need all our experts in here."
She claimed that they were playing hide and seek, that she got drunk and went to sleep and forgot him. Like that would ever happen. Like you would just forget your man is in the suitcase, bro. If we ever play hide and seek and you end up in a suitcase, I would never forget about you. I would be like,
and also, it's not like she couldn't find him and then you went to bed. She saw him. She claimed that she came down the steps and saw him getting in the suitcase, joked around with him about it, recorded those videos, and then went to bed.
Yeah.
So it's not like she didn't know where he was.
Ample time to get him out. Wow. Unbelievable. We will definitely touch base with this case in December around Christmas time. Everybody's gonna get a nice Christmas gift. We're gonna see her get sentenced to probably life in prison with probably parole. She'll probably get the possibility of parole for this, but we'll see. This is in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So maybe not. They might throw the book at her and be like, "You're done. You're cooked." Over. Listen.
I hope she gets cooked, man. That's crazy.
Listen. Terrifier 3 is just all over the place. You can't go anywhere without. They were probably advertising for Terrifier 3 during the damn court case. They probably had Art the Clown in there dancing around. I can't go anywhere without hearing about this damn movie. Right now, we're about to switch over, and I'm going to be talking to one of my buddies, Mikey D, another horror aficionado. And he's going to be telling me all his inner thoughts about Terrifier 3 and the Terrifier series. And when we're done with that, we will be back to kiss you goodbye. Oh, wow. So let's just get right to it. I thought you were a big fan, but I guess not. On the show right now, we have a man who is a great friend. He is a horror movie buff. He is a gore buff. This has been a long time coming. We got Mikey D on the show. You've seen every one in the series. Please regale me with your thoughts about the third installment.
Yeah, if you asked me years ago which clown movie would be performing better in the theaters right now, my guess would have been the one with the Joker in it.
Yeah.
But regardless of everything I'm about to say, I will preface it by saying I am happy for the people that made this movie that this movie is doing so well, because regardless of what I think of it, and I don't like it very much for reasons I'll get into, I think it's important that slasher movies continue to be made, and there is a serious drought of them, especially in the mainstream right now. But all of my problems with this movie come from the same place as all my problems with the second one, which is it's too fucking long. Every single kill in this movie is not worth the half hour that you took to get to it. There is, I was so bored, I started to like very discreetly check my phone in the theater to start measuring like what is the ratio of like scene that moves this plot that no one cares about forward versus how much time do we get to spend with art doing art shit.
And what was that ratio?
It was like a 2-to-1 ratio. Like it was like 10-minute kill scene for 20 to 30 minute we're talking about the fucking ancient sword of Akatosh that we have to go get. Did you watch the movie, right?
I have seen 10 to 15 minutes of this movie and I shut it off.
Okay. So
Not a fan.
You saw the best part.
Which was we can do some spoilers. We could do some light spoilers.
Right. So the best part of this movie to me is the very first scene.
Oh, the beginning. Okay, so when Santa comes out.
Yeah, in which Art, dressed as Santa, infiltrates a house and kills a family.
That was the best part of this movie.
Yes.
The first 10 minutes.
There are good kills in this movie, but they are not worth the cost of the shit that you have to sit through to get to them.
Okay.
Because this movie's too fucking long.
How long is it? What is the runtime? Do you know?
It's 2 hours. It's over 2 hours.
Over 2 hours.
Which it's not 2.5 hours, but it's something like 2 and 8, 2 and 15, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Too fucking long. The reality is, if you look at classic slasher movies, which I've actually been going through this month, introducing people to them that haven't seen them, and in doing that, it kind of gave me a lot of context for this, because if you look at like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween 2 or even the further installments like Dream Warriors, which is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street, all under 2 hours or 2 hours exactly. You know, like they're not sitting here running the fucking wheels for 2.5 hours to 3, which granted Terrifier 3 doesn't either. But the problem with Terrifier is that Art doing art shit is the best part of those movies, and they don't let that happen enough.
See, I was under the wrong impression, because I've seen a little bit of this. Like I made it up to the scene where the girl gets released from the hospital with her, I don't know, it's her uncle or something. So I don't know how long into the movie it is. But I was always under the impression that Terrifier movies were just straight up kill after kill after kill after kill. I didn't know there was all this discussion and all this plot in the middle.
So this is the problem, is that they kind of have an identity crisis, starting with the second one and moving into this one. The first Terrifier is it's okay. Like, it's not my favorite, but I'll play devil's advocate and say the first one's okay, because it's 90 minutes of like pretty much all killer, no filler. Art is chasing people down and killing them. The second and now this one do this thing where they try to have this really big structured plot with these characters that they expect you to get invested in, but you've seen plenty of slashers in your time. You're not watching a slasher movie to get invested in long-running returning characters. You're watching slasher movies to watch people die in entertaining and or funny ways. Terrifier 2 starts this thing of like, it implies that there's some kind of generational evil with Art, where he is this like paranormal supernatural grandfather of this family that is now using this mystical artifact to slay him once and for all. And so like you get totally lost in the weeds with these characters who you're not interested in, you're not going to get invested in. You came to watch them die, but they don't, because they have to carry on this weird good versus evil narrative.
Wow.
Where it's just like the appeal here is Art. You're coming to watch Art the Clown.
Yeah.
You're not coming for this like battle of good and evil where he's going to have a sword fight at the end.
Wow. So they did a lot of that in this movie, which you did not like. What did you think of the actual kills?
So I will say there are some solid ass kills in this entry in particular. Art is at his best when the kill is a joke and there's a strong punchline. So again, getting into minor spoilers of the first like 15 minutes, the film begins with him infiltrating a house as Santa, axe murdering an entire family, which like the actual axe murders are like quick, satisfying, really like chunky axe hits. So like good on the effects, good on the filming. They're all like, damn, that bitch got hit by an axe kind of kills.
Yep. Stomach, arm,
but then,
all that. Nasty.
But then when he's done, he eats the milk and cookies and washes the dishes, which is like a good.
That was good.
That's a good punchline, right? Like Art is a clown.
Decorum.
He is here to do clown shit.
Yeah.
Or like when he's later, I was chuckling to myself in the theater because later he he kind of jury rigs a like sort of a gun that shoots liquid nitrogen. So it's basically like in my head, I was thinking of it as like the Galaxy Gas Blaster.
Oh yeah.
Where anything that he puts this hose towards is immediately frozen. Right, which then allows him to shatter it or whatever. So they use that in some really inventive and funny ways. And then there is a shower kill that is probably the best in the series.
Really? Now let
yes.
me ask you this, because I was watching a little video from this YouTube channel that I just came upon called Remind of the Living Dead, and they were talking about that they're the goriest or the craziest scene in this movie, and maybe even the franchise, is the Vicky Glass scene. Did you see that? Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
They said it may have been too much. You agree with that?
No.
You weren't impressed.
There are things that try too hard in all three of these movies. And like I said, like art is at its best when there is like a strong punchline, and a good kill is like a good joke because he's a fucking clown. But all of the boring shit in this franchise, kill wise, is when they are just trying too hard. And like if we are going for, to me at least, from my tastes, if we're going for kills in a slasher movie, it should be like quick, punchy, and entertaining, because we're doing practical effects. We're doing people being alive somehow long after the wound would have killed them. This is cartoony, right? Like if you want real ass shock value torture, you would be looking for simulated stuff, like I said, like Poughkeepsie Tapes or August Underground, or, you know, like stuff like that. But there's stuff that's like, there's the practical effects are going, the people are getting tortured, but the glass scene in particular, there's more than one, but both of them are trying way too hard to be like, look at how awful and transgressive and gross this is. And it's just like, yeah, but it's a cartoon.
Now, I don't want to do spoilers, okay? But if I guess it right, just say it, okay? Because I can't even imagine what it could be, that it could be that disturbing, that seasoned veterans of the Terrifier series are turning away and they're shocked. Did he stick the glass up her vagina or something?
So he didn't, but someone self-mutilates with glass.
I figured it had to be that, because I'm like, what else could it be that these people would be that wound up about it, that they would be that freaked out? Okay.
But you don't see her fucking slicing a roast beef on glass. Ooh. It's all like she puts her hand up her skirt with a shard of glass and you see blood spill out, right?
Oh,
so
that's
like
not that crazy.
It's all yeah. The shock value is in the implication.
I mean, I've heard of the freaking rat kill in this movie. That sounds way worse than that.
Yes. I would say the most like kind of clench your asshole like wince is the shower kill, which is my favorite in the movie. And like that's a classic, you know, like there wasn't any crazy fucking I sodomized myself with glass or anything. That was just a good old classic setup for a kill that was just done really well practically.
Do me a favor here and rank the Terrifier series.
1, 3, 2.
Wow.
I think 2 is the worst.
1 was the best.
But I got to stress that like both 3 and 2 are bad and 1 is okay. So there is a gap between 1 and 3.
Was this the goriest installment yet?
Yeah, probably.
Was this the goriest movie you've ever seen in your life?
Fuck, no, not even close.
What movie would that be? Give us a recommendation.
Are we talking about cartoony, like grotesque shit, or are we talking about like this was legitimately disturbing?
Give us both. Give us one of each. One of each category: cartoony and disturbing. I'm leaning more to what really disturbed you. What violent movie, what gory movie really disturbed you? Because I feel like this is a lot of people's, the way they're talking about this, like Terrifier 3 is the most disturbing movie they've ever seen. And preparing for this, I was thinking, that can't be what Michael thinks. I guarantee you he's seen a more disturbing movie and could recommend one. And I guess I'm correct.
Because when we're talking about stuff that disturbs, right? Like a lot of people, there's that age-old adage of, art disturbing the comfortable and comforting the disturbed. And that's kind of where horror is supposed to sit a lot of the time. But slashers, in my opinion, are always supposed to be entertaining for people that are entertained by like silly or crazy kills or like shit that's cartoony. Or like even just watching a bunch of people die in satisfying ways, right? Like there is a catharsis to violence. We all can admit that we like seeing people get hurt sometimes. So like, to me, there can be slasher kills that are gross, but I don't really think there's anything in that genre that's aiming to be like deeply disturbing and transgressive. What I mean by disturbing is like what I mentioned earlier with like movies that are filmed in such a way where they're not snuff films, because obviously you can't sell those legally, but they're simulating the experience of watching a snuff film, where like it is shot on a shitty camera that's handheld on purpose to give you the idea that this is like some found footage that was leaked to the press from like a serial killer's basement or something like that.
Right.
That's the kind of shit that's like really disturbing to me. Stuff that is setting out to disturb you as its goal.
Like Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Like Poughkeepsie Tapes. So Poughkeepsie Tapes is not overtly gory, but the violence in it is
disturbing.
Like
that's
real and disturbing.
I've never seen it. I don't want to. I've heard enough about it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, August Underground is very much the same way. August Underground, the gore is a little more out there, but the like evil being depicted is so much more real. It's shit that happens to real people a lot of the time, unfortunately. So like that's ironically taking gore and dialing it down makes it more disturbing because it's closer to something that can actually happen to you.
And it's more believable. So if you can give us a most disturbing movie you've ever seen, what would it be? I know this is a very hard question. You and I have discussed disturbing movies at length many times, and that's why you're the perfect man for the job. So go through that Rolodex in your mind and see what you can conjure up.
Probably the second August Underground movie. It starts with an M. Mundano. Let me get the title. That hits all the notes. There's grisly murder, rape, incests, all the awful shit.
Wow.
Because like Poughkeepsie Tapes is bad, but there's a lot of anticipation in Poughkeepsie Tapes, and it's kind of put together like a documentary. So you have breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like August Underground is just kind of non-stop. August Underground Mortem.
Got it. There you go.
Is just kind of non-stop like assault of the senses.
Do you truly believe that people from Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3 were really vomiting and passing out during these movies, or was that just hype?
What I think those stories of like vomiting and leaving the theater, I think of that marketing stunt that they pulled where they told a bunch of people that it was like an unreleased holiday movie or something, or like a Christmas movie. So all these people brought their families and their kids and everything, and then they sat down and watched Terrifier, and that's how they got a lot of the like press of like, oh, people are running out of the yeah, because you fucking tricked them.
Yeah, they don't know what they're getting into. That's what I can imagine, because I don't like that kind of stuff. It doesn't make me feel good, but it doesn't make me feel sick, and it's definitely not gonna make me pass out. It just doesn't make me feel good. Like shit like depresses me, you know what I mean? Like I just don't like it. But I can't see somebody passing out unless they're like literally a child or, you know, somebody who has never seen anything like this before. You know what I mean? So you don't really like the movie, but you will see number 4.
So to summarize my thoughts, I don't like it, I hope they're allowed to make more movies.
What
solely
keeps you
because
coming
like
back?
I want more slasher movies to exist, whether I like them or not.
What keeps you coming back to the Terrifier series?
I think it's really cool that Bloody Disgusting got involved in actually making movies, and I want to. Sometimes I do stuff just to support like anything that's not fucking Disney or Fox or whatever. And like this is one of those instances where I'm going to be totally real. The reason that I went to the theater to see Terrifier is because we're talking about it.
Okay.
I would not have like caught it in a theater and bought a ticket if we were not discussing it right now.
Contrary to my belief before this episode, I thought you were going to be first in line. Wow.
Nope.
Did not know. Did not know. As some of you may know, I don't like these movies, but like you say, Michael, I respect it. I think it definitely should be made. There's people that enjoy it, and I'm very happy that there's a new franchise out there for horror fans to enjoy. Although I'm not a fan of this, I do smile every time I see Art the Clown in Spirit Halloween at the Comic-Cons, and I'm glad that there's another slasher villain that has rose to such prominence, and that, you know, people are enjoying these movies because you just love to see it. You love to see the horror world, you know, be enriched with another franchise.
Because that also keeps the door open for other franchises, right?
Yeah.
Like, right, if Terrifier didn't exist right now, we would have no mainstream slasher franchise other than Scream, which is a classic, right?
Right. And
But
they're really
Terrifier
dropping the
being
ball.
made, even if I don't like it, might inspire some young filmmaker to be like, I'm gonna make Shreddy to compete with art, right? Like, if it creates more slasher movies, then it is a net positive for art. And I mean art like film, not art like the clown.
Right. Well, that's how I felt about In a Violent Nature. I don't really want to talk about that on this episode, but I was really excited for the concept of the movie. I did not like the execution, but I'm glad it was made because I feel like somebody's going to take that concept and make it better in the future. So I'm very glad that movie was made. But there you go. Thank you for coming on the show, Mikey. Would love to have you back soon.
Thanks for having me. Let me know anytime.
We are back, and we're pretty much done. Do you have anything else you'd like to say, do? You want to dance for anything? Do a TikTok dance?
Don't hurt anybody.
Just, don't kill anybody. Don't chop anybody up. Blah, blah, blah.
Don't steal anybody's money.
Just don't do anything.
Don't do anything that we talked about in this episode today.
Yeah, don't get any suitcases. Don't put anybody in a suitcase.
What you should do is like, comment, and subscribe, though.
There you go. There you go. And listen, if you missed it, the Halloween special is out. It came out yesterday. So make sure you go listen to that. It's a lot less morbid than this episode. It's way more fun. We do talk about demonic things, which is also very dark. But other than that, you know, we have fun. We eat candy, and nobody gets raped, murdered, and brutalized. So if you want to lighten the mood, make sure you go over to the Halloween special that we released yesterday. I hope you all have a very fun and safe and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
May God be with us all. Peace and love. See you next time.